And they're the topic of my talk today. They are coffee Guinness cupcakes. And as Brian introduced, I do like to bake. So today I'm hoping to tell you a little bit about Guinness, because it's St. Patrick's Day. Tell you a little bit about my baking background and why I like to cook. The basics of baking, give you the recipe, and show you how to make those cupcakes. Guinness is beer, it's a stout, and it's from Ireland. It's been very well known and very connected to Irish identity, hence why it's so well known for St. Patrick's Day. This can was taken in my kitchen pitcher. It is the can of Guinness that is used to make those cupcakes. It's available in over 100 countries and brewed in over 50. 10 million glasses of Guinness are drunk a day. That's like 2 billion a year. So I like Guinness. Not a lot of people do, but I didn't think, but apparently a lot of people do across the world. And last year, Guinness had its 250th anniversary. So part of its history, of course, is rooted in that and its tradition in Ireland, and hence why it's used for St. Patrick's Day celebrations all across the world. When it comes to baking, with or without alcohol, I've been baking for a long time since I was a kid. I really started baking and cooking more when I moved away from my parents' house and had to fend for myself. And it was a cheap form of entertaining as well. I've been cooking and baking as a hobby for the past 5 years. Aside from actual sustenance, I find it entertaining and relaxing, unlike some people, but I do. And so I started making things for friends and family, learning new recipes. And about a year ago, I started a cooking blog where I update my successes and my failures and why I don't like to cook some days and why I do like to cook some days. So this is my blog. It's called Desktop Gourmet. Through it, I've been able to guest blog through a couple other sites like the Signal blog, and I'm on Food Buzz and Canada's Food Network as well, their website. This picture here, I posted the other day. I just wanted to make note of it. It says, "Stressed is dessert backwards." So I like to think of that as a little motto. When I'm stressed, I like to bake, and if it's chocolate, it's just all that better. Some baking basics that I've learned throughout the years. Number one, preparation is key. So you need to read your recipes and make sure that you have your ingredients, you have the time to make what you're going to make, you have the tools, you have the right tins, you have the right spatulas, that kind of thing. Practice makes perfect. What I mean by that is the more you do something, the better it gets, as with anything in life. So this particular recipe for the chocolate Guinness cupcakes, I've been making for about 5 years. And every time I make it, it gets a little easier. Actually, it was the first recipe I posted on my blog, so I'm a pretty good at it. Do your research. That means if you're unfortunate like me and have a sister who's gluten-free, you can't go baking this cake for her. But maybe there's other things you can make. If you need recipe conversions or things like that, you can do your research. Or you can search for recipes that will use up that leftover butter you didn't use in your cake. And finally, bake when you're in a good mood. It sounds funny, but I learned this from one of my grandmothers. If you're angry or upset or sad, it comes out in what you make. And trust me, it's just way better if you're happy when you make. So, this is the nuts and bolts. This is how to make the cupcake. First of all, you need a cup of Guinness stout. And fortunately for someone like me who likes Guinness, there's more than a cup in a can, so you can have a drink while you're eating. 10 tablespoons of unsalted butter. That's a little bit less than 2/3 of a cup. You need 3/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 2 cups of sugar, 3/4 cup of sour cream, 2 eggs, and generally in a recipe when they just say eggs, they mean large eggs. So that's the tip. A tablespoon of vanilla extract. Use the real stuff, please. 2 cups of flour and 2½ teaspoons of baking soda. Now, what do we do with it? Oh, first I wanted to point out, it's not a diet recipe. That's a lot of butter, and it's a lot of sugar, and it's eggs, and it's beer. So, it's a celebration cake. How do we make it? So this is when I was starting to prepare the recipe. First thing you gotta do is read it, lay out all your tools and pre-measure all your ingredients. They do it in cooking shows. Martha Stewart does it all the time. You see all these little bowls of ingredients. It really does make a difference when you're making it and when you're cleaning up. Preheat your oven. That's a step a lot of people miss. This recipe calls for 350 degrees. And grease or line your pan. As you can see here, I've got liners in my muffin tin already. Step 2, wet ingredients. So in a large saucepan, you got to melt your butter and your Guinness together. There is no better smell in your house than butter and Guinness melting together in a pot. They should use that to sell houses, I think. Then you throw in your cocoa and your sugar, and you whisk until none of these lumps are there. That's a bad time to take a picture. Then you use your dairy. So in a small bowl, you whisk together your sour cream, eggs, and vanilla. And you do that separately so your eggs don't turn into scrambled eggs. So what you have to do is when your Guinness mixture is cooled, or mixed, you take it off the heat, and then you let it cool, and then you put this in with that, and you combine it together. So that's your wet ingredient. Then you have your dry ingredients, which is this flour and baking soda in this case. Whisk those together, same sifting, but you can sift if you're really into it. And then what you do is just combine the two. A lot of people have a preference over wet into dry or dry into wet. I found with this recipe it doesn't really matter. Then you just bake them, which is fun, and kind of heart-stopping because you're not sure what's going to happen. But if you're making regular cupcakes, just ladle the batter into the pan and bake for 20 minutes. You can also use this recipe for a cake, so a bundt pan or a 9-inch pan, but it takes about 45 minutes. You'll know it's done when there's a toothpick inserted into the middle and it comes out with a few wet crumbs. Very much like a forever. And then you're done. So you remove the pans from, or the cupcakes or your cake from the pan and let them cool. And then you can top them. The ones I had in there were cream cheese icing. You can also use the ganache, which is just chocolate and cream. Or I've even heard of Bailey's icing, which has got to be deadly. And that's the finished product. Hopefully I've inspired you to do some baking. Maybe you're hungry, I don't know. And maybe you want to make this very recipe. If so, I have some copies, or you can go to my blog. Happy to discuss today.